Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you guys are having another fantastic day. You know, it's a beautiful, prosperous, and abundant day today. And if you guys didn't check out my last video about the hiatus I went on through the first 6 months of 2021, go check that out. I'll drop a link in the description below. But what we're going to be talking about today is why I'm so confident that XRP is going to explode. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this is something that I've been talking about for a couple of weeks now. I actually have been studying this for several months, but really haven't talked too much about it because I wanted to make sure that I was doing the right thing, but also the advice that I was giving to other people was concrete as well. So I did a lot of studying on this. I do want to preface by saying everything that I'm about to tell you is not any sort of financial advice. It's just what I've gathered through my personal research and, of course, listening to people who have what I want. And as always, this information that I'm going to be sharing with you doesn't come from me. I always study people who have what I want or have been where I am. So in this case, the news that I'm getting comes directly from a gentleman by the name of Coach JV. He is Arizona based, but his background is that he was in banking for quite a number of years, was a vice president of a bank, had to go to banking school. So he is definitely somebody I trust and respect. And the information that I'm going to share with you regarding XRP comes directly from him. And of course, I've fact checked and cross-gathered information myself. Okay, so let's start with some basics. What is XRP? So XRP is a coin that actually allows the Ripple network to be functional. So when you're talking about transactions from one wallet to another wallet, you have to make sure that you have a currency back of it. You can't just create a technology and call it something to do transactions. That's not how it works. So XRP is the coin that allows the Ripple network to actually operate and function. So the tangible commodity is XRP. The software for the commodity is the Ripple network. So I want to preface by starting there. So where I'm going to start is actually talking about the banking industry itself. And what you want to look for in this space is you want to look at news headlines and look at what they're talking about in regards to banking and what they're doing next. And the common denominator that you'll see with all of these banks, and not all of them are on board, so I'm not going to say it's every single bank you can think of, but big ones like Chase and Citi, just name a couple, they've already started talking about a digital form of currency. Now, the reason behind this is because our modern banking system is changing. We're going from a fiat currency, so something tangible you can hold in your hand, to now people are using their phones to pay for things. So it's more of a software base now, whereas before it was a tangible commodity. So these banks are talking about moving to straight digital. So they're going to get rid of fiat currency altogether, and they're going to start moving into the digital realm. Well, in order to do that, they need to come up with a software that will allow them to communicate not only bank to bank, but country to country. And this is important to understand. And the reason why is because the crypto space is something that's been around for quite some time. It's actually been around for close to 20 years right now. And this idea of banks going to a digital form of currency is relatively new. They've only been talking about it for a year or so. So what these banks are starting to do is they're starting to study these cryptocurrency blockchains. Now, blockchains is the software that these coins such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, these coins are using a software for their transactions. So essentially what these banks are doing to create digital currency is they're studying these blockchain technologies from these cryptocurrencies in order to create their own version of this network. So now that we understand that, the next thing that we have to look at is something called the IMF. What the IMF essentially is it is where countries from all over the world come together to talk about finances, to make sure everybody's on the same page. So if one country switches to digital currency, they got to make sure every other company can communicate effectively in order to make sure exchanges and transactions happen cleanly and easily. And back in 2019, all these countries got together to talk about digital currency and the movement towards digital currency. So back in 2019, they were already talking about, okay, we need to start moving more toward a digital type transaction. So you want to look at that first, and then you want to look at who was invited to that IMF meeting. Now, the vast majority of it was heads of banks and people that were sitting on the board of directors for these banks. But there's one anomaly there. And that one anomaly is the creator and people that sit on the board of Ripple. Now think to yourself, why would they invite people from Ripple to an international, it's IMF meeting itself? Why would they do that? And the answer is they wanted to talk to Ripple to figure out how they created the network that they created. So now all the rest of the countries have a blueprint for how to create their own digital currency. So now we put two things together. The fact that these banks want to go to a digital currency, and that people that sit on the board of directors for XRP and Ripple were invited to an IMF meeting to discuss their blockchain technology so that these countries can piggyback off this idea. But how does that tie into XRP being worth a significant amount of money? So with this, what you want to look at is the contracts that XRP has with other companies, and more specifically, banks. What these contracts mean is that they have contracts to work side by side along these companies and these banks in order to make transactions easier and potentially help them with their digital form of currency and making transactions even easier. So when you start to look at that list of contracts that they have, what sticks out is that they have over 100 banks across the world contracted to work with them. Now ask yourself a question. Why would 100 banks sign contracts to work side by side along Ripple and XRP? Why is that significant? And the answer to that is these banks need time to develop their own digital currency. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a little bit of time. In the meantime, that doesn't slow down the switch from fiat currency to digital currency. In fact, they're needing digital currency sooner rather than later. So they don't have a lot of time to wait for all of these banks to create their own form of digital currency. They need to get something out there right now. Here's where XRP and Ripple come in. XRP and Ripple already have the ability to do cross-border transactions very, very quickly. So on average, a transaction for XRP from one person to another or one bank to another is about 3 seconds. So that means that if a bank needs to do some sort of exchange, currency to currency, digitally, they're more than likely going to use XRP as a bridge currency because they already have the contracts with XRP, and the software that XRP has already created is effective and it works. So they would be wise, I'm not saying that they're going to do this, but they would be wise to use the Ripple network and XRP as a bridge currency until these banks create their own digital currency. Now the next question I get is, what about the lawsuit that XRP and Ripple are going through right now? And if you don't know about the lawsuit, the SEC is suing Ripple and XRP because they feel that Ripple marketed XRP as a security. And Ripple is pushing back and saying we never said it was a security by any means. So there is a lawsuit going on between the SEC and Ripple to basically settle this and figure out is what they did illegal or is it not illegal. Now, look at the lawsuit as a smokescreen. It doesn't matter at all. The reason why this lawsuit was put in place is not because Ripple did anything illegal whatsoever. In fact, they've won the vast majority of the cases brought against them in the SEC. So that's a case that's going to conclude really soon. But this is the important part that you want to look at. Since the lawsuit has happened, most cryptocurrency exchanges have taken XRP off altogether, which means that the average everyday person like myself, as well as you, cannot get your hands on XRP. Now, why would they do that? Think to yourself for a minute. Why would they do that? Well, wouldn't it make sense that if XRP is next to impossible to get for the average everyday consumer, wouldn't it be intelligent for this point in time, for these banks as well as elite class members to start stacking up XRP for themselves and not allowing the average everyday person to get their hands on it? Wouldn't that make sense? I mean, think about the modern day banking system right now. It's a bunch of bankers who control everything from interest rates to how much money we print. They don't want to lose control of that monetary system. So the lawsuit is just a front to make it difficult for XRP to get your hands on. Not impossible, but you don't want to pay attention to the lawsuit. The lawsuit is a smokescreen. You want to look at the big picture of this. If there's 100 plus banks that are partnered with XRP and Ripple to be a bridge currency to eventually bring in a digital currency for all these banks, wouldn't it be smart, knowing that XRP is eventually going to blow up, wouldn't it be smart for these banks and these elite class people to hoard as much of it as they possibly can? I would say it is. And lastly, the other thing that you want to look at is what happened with Bitcoin. If you recall, Bitcoin took a huge dip recently, not only because China refuses to accept it and will not allow people to mine it, but also because Elon Musk and Tesla came out and said that he's not going to accept Bitcoin. The reason for that is because of the energy as well as transaction time. It takes 4 Bitcoin to do a transaction, one person to another. It uses a significant amount of energy, and the average transaction time is around 20 to 30 minutes or so. So obviously, Bitcoin is something that is a pioneer in the crypto industry, but if transactions are taking 20 to 30 minutes, are banks really gonna wanna wait that long for a transaction to happen? Probably not. And then you look at XRP. And XRP is one of the most energy efficient cryptocurrencies of all of the cryptocurrencies. I believe it uses 0.003 kilowatts of energy. I'll actually post it up here so that you guys can see. But it uses a very small amount of energy in order to do a transaction. So if we're moving to a world where we want to be cleaner, it would be intelligent for us to use a cryptocurrency that doesn't use a lot of energy to complete a transaction. Secondly, if you look at the amount of time it takes for a XRP transaction to happen, it's 3 seconds. 3 seconds total for it to change hands from one wallet to another. So don't you think that banks are more than likely going to use not only the most energy efficient coin, but also the one that makes sure a transaction happens as quickly as possible? I definitely think so. So I'm sharing all this information with you because this is a question I get so often. Why are you so confident in XRP? Why are you holding so much XRP? The writing is on the wall. That's the reason why. I've done enough research that I feel confident that XRP is going to explode. Now, again, this isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you to go out and use all of your life savings on XRP. I'm just telling you how I see it based on the research that I've done and the people that I listen to. But what I would recommend is you do your own research and draw your own conclusion. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this little bit lengthier than usual video, but I figured I'd put this out there to answer questions that the vast majority of you have about XRP, and I hope that this cleared a lot of that stuff up. If you are into cryptocurrency, creating wealth, but also motivation and becoming the best version of yourself, you definitely want to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you can be notified every single time I post a video. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.